Hello everyone, welcome to the sixth lecture of Software Engineering and Programming Management. In the last lecture, we discussed the principles till this designing part. We have discussed the principles for communication, planning and the modeling. In the last class, we discussed about the analysis and the designing principles, right? So if we are clear with the designing, our view is clear, that designing is done very properly, we can start from the construction. We can start our construction task. So again, under the construction, we are having 2 points. Construction means what? Construction means the implementation. Construction means the implementation of your task, right? Basically, this construction activity, it encompasses a set of coding and testing tasks that lead to operational software that is ready for delivery to the customer or end user. Got it? When you will finish with this construction task, this construction part, you are ready to deliver your software. As we can see in this picture of your task, you can see here under this construction what comes: the coding and the testing, and finally we deploy our work to the customer. So this is the last principle, right? This is the last phase, construction, and the last phase is the deploy. So now the coding principles, right? In this coding principles, I think all of you know how to write the program in C. You are also familiar with the at least with the basics of data structures, right? So when you start coding, when you start writing the code, again you have to consider some point in your mind, right? You have to consider some point in your mind before you start writing the code. Before you start writing the code, you have to keep some points in mind. When you are writing something, also you have to remember something, some point. And when you complete it, also you have to perform some task. So we can say our coding principles divide into 3 parts. First is the principles based on preparation before coding, right? Next is as you begin coding, right? As you begin coding, as you start writing code. Or third is after completing the first round of code, after completing that coding part. Again we are having some responsibilities after completing the writing the code of your software. So what are the principles that comes before coding, right? The preparation you have to perform before coding. What does first is understand the problem. Try to understand the problem carefully, try to understand the problem thoroughly, right? So that you can solve it easily, you can get a better explanation. You will provide the better explanation to everyone if you are getting it, if you are understanding it, if you are getting it properly. Second is understand the basic concepts, right? Try to understand the basic concepts and the principles. What is the concept behind it? Which concept you are going to implement it? Or also understand the principles. So when you are start writing the code, before you have to understand the problem which you are trying to solve it, and also try to understand the basic design concepts as well as the principles, right? Now if you are familiar with all the 3 points, yes, we know what we are going to do, what are the basic principles which we are going to follow and all. The next thing come the programming language, right? Next thing comes the programming language, that which programming language you wish to. Obviously you will also decide this point before start the coding, right? So you will choose a programming language that meets the needs of the software which is to be built and the environment in which it is going to operate. You will choose this according to the way the programming, the environment in which it is going to operate, right? The environment in which it is going to operate, you will choose it in this way, right? Next is what? Select a programming environment. You have chosen this language. Now after this you have to choose a programming environment that provides the tool that will make our work easier. Right? We want to write a code, and after choosing the coding environment it will make our work easier. Also, what is your task is to prepare the test cases. Test cases means which input, right? Which input you will give in your program, the type of data you are going to pass in your algorithm or in your program. For example, we know that suppose we are calculating the addition of 100 numbers, right? Suppose we are calculating the addition of 100 numbers. So we will check on different test cases. Say those all the 100 numbers are 3-digit number, all 100 numbers are 5-digit number, all numbers are negative number, are like positive, negative, 0, right? So you will identify the test cases. You will create a set of test cases that you are going to apply it once the component you code is completed, right? Once the code of that particular component is completed by using a particular language, you will apply the test cases there. So at least we should have some brief idea about the test cases. So this is all about the preparation before. Next is coding principle. Again, these are same points written here which we discussed. Now as you begin coding, right? As you begin coding, which points you should keep in mind? Algorithm, right? Algorithm. Constrain your algorithm by following the structured programming practices. You can see, like, you have to construct an algorithm by keeping the structured programming practice in mind, right? Now next is to select the data structure. Select the data structure that will meet, like, that will fulfill the need of our designing, right? Suppose if you are writing the program for adding the bogies in a train, suppose you are writing the program, or you are playing a game which is related with like the bogie, okay, the train bogies. Sometimes you put a bogie at the end, sometimes you put the bogie in the front, sometime in middle. So which data structure you will follow? Linked list. So similarly, the data structure which you are going to use, it must meet the need of the design. Okay. Next, try to understand the software architecture. Try to understand the architecture and create the interfaces. Try to understand the architecture or create the interfaces, right? Also create the interfaces that are consistent with it. Okay. Then proper interfacing, which you can see just if you are going to purchase a mobile, right? If you are going to purchase a mobile, and suppose you are writing a software for mobile, right? So whatever the program you have written, it's okay, but you have to provide the proper interface. But how you can provide the interface? First you have to understand its architecture properly. If you are going to put your app in your mobile, definitely you have to provide some interfacing. Then otherwise how other people will use it? So proper interface should be there, right? Then conditional logic. Try to keep the logic which you are going to use. Try to keep that logic as simple as possible. Also, like, if possible, also create some nested loop there, right? Or when you see, sometimes what happen when you create or write the program using nested loops, right? When you create the program using nested loops, you make your program very complex, and when we try to trace, really it's very difficult to identify the output sometimes. So create your nested loop in a way that makes them easily testable, right? Anyone can test it. What are the test cases you have designed? By using those test cases, you can test it very easily and it in a way. So what all comes under the coding principles when you start coding, when you begin coding, right? Use the proper nested loops. Also write the code that is self documented. It means when you write the code, if you remember, when we write the program in C, we use the comment. Most of the time we use the comment because that comment is like a self document. If you are using the comment, if anyone else is using your code, he or she can understand it very easily, right? Or also create a visual layout that aids coding understanding. Try to represent the layout in a visual format also, so you can easily grasp the thing, what you are going to do, how you are going to implement it. So when you start the coding, when your coding is started, create the use the proper data structure, write the algorithm in a structured way, understand the architecture properly so that you can create the interfaces easily. Keep the logic as simple as possible. If you are using the nested loop, keep in mind that the input is given by the tester or us also, like it output can be traced easily. Or whatever the code you are writing, it should be self documenting, right? It means proper use of comment. Again, the last is after completing the code, after completing the first round of code, right? What you have to do? Conduct a walkthrough. Conduct a walkthrough means check it when you have completed the code. Start reading from up to the down, then up to the down. Read each and every line written by you. Okay? Next, perform the unit testing. Perform the unit testing and correct errors you have covered. It means what? See, when you have written the code as small component, what you will do for that component, you will give some point as an input, and after giving those point as an input, you will get some output. And when you are getting the output, might be possible you are getting the correct output or the wrong output, right? If you are getting the wrong output, you can uncover the errors, right? Also, the last point is refactor the code. Refactor the code means, suppose you have written some program. After writing that program, you feel, suppose that program is calculating the addition of 100 number. You feel that the logic written for performing that task is little bit complex, but its output is what you want as output, the addition of 100 numbers, right? Addition of any 100 number. So we can change the logic, but we have to change the logic in a way it should not change the outer part of your code. You have to change it in a way that it should only change the inner part. It should not change the outer part of your system. So this way you can perform it. So you can see here, conduct a walkthrough, right? Perform the unit test. Conduct a walkthrough, perform a unit test as a black box and the white box. We will discuss black box and the white box in detail. It is a part of the testing, and also correct the errors, right? And then refactor the code. Third one is, so this is the last of the coding principles. Okay, now the next is, we will discuss about the testing principles. First, what is testing? Testing, it is a process of executing a program with the intent of finding an error, right? Whenever we perform any testing task, our intention is to find out the error, right? Our intention is to find out the error in that program so that we can correct it before the delivery of your software, right? And also, most of the time we say that this software is a successful software right? This successful software because it is able to pass all the test cases. Whatever the test cases is passed by the user, it is generating the result correctly. Or in the case of test, a test is a successful that uncovers, right, an as yet undiscovered error which is not discovered yet. So if you are writing the test cases, write the test cases in a way so that you can uncover the errors. Now come to the principle. The first principle is all the tests should be traceable to customer requirement, right? Because if we are able to write down the test cases that will trace the software requirement easily, so we can identify the cause. We can identify the cause of the failure. The cause of the failure which is stopping us to meet the requirement of the user. So if you will trace properly, suppose you have written the program, any program, and if you are able, suppose in that program 5 conditional logics are there, right? In that program 5 logics are there. So you have to write the test cases in a way that it should follow each and every condition written in your program, because every condition is the output of every condition is fulfilling the requirements of the customer or ultimately the requirement of the user. So all the tests should be traceable. Second, test should be planned long before tested begins, right? See, test planning, it can be begun as soon as the analysis model is completed. Once you completed your task with the analysis model, you can also start this testing, right? You can also start the test case designing process. And also the test planning, there's a difference between the test planning and the test cases. Try to understand. After the analysis model, you can start the test planning, and like after the design model, because you are having the detailed description of it, you can start writing the test cases. Test planning, you have to start your planning, like what you are going to do basically, and then to fulfill that test plan, you will generate the test cases, right? So at the time of modeling, and under the modeling, that analysis and then design both come. So as soon as the analysis model completed, you can do the test planning, and as the designing completed, you can start the test cases, right? So we can say all the tests can be planned and designed before any code has been generated. The Pareto principles applies to the software testing, right? The Pareto principles applies. The Pareto principle says, right, or it implies that 80% of all errors uncovered during testing will likely be traceable to 20% of all programming components, right? The problem is what? The problem, of course, is to isolate these suspect components and to thoroughly test them, right? Then 80% of the uncovered errors are in 20% of the code. Testing should begin in the small and progress toward testing in the large, right? It means initially you have to start checking the small component, and then at the end, when you have checked the each and every small component, combine all the components, integrate them, and then perform that whole system or integration testing, right? You can see this we follow basically, right? First you perform the unit testing, then you perform the integration testing, then validation, and then system testing. So this is the smallest one. Next is exhaustive testing is not possible. Right? See, exhaustive testing means the number of path permutations, right? The number of path permutations for even a moderately sized program is exponentially large. Because of this, it is impossible to execute every combination of path during testing, right? So it is possible to adequately cover programming logic and to ensure that all conditions in the component level design have been exercised, right? Exhaustive testing is not possible because the number of path permutations for even a moderate sized program is exponentially large. If you are going you will check the logic, yes, this logic is fulfilling, you are getting this requirement, it's okay. If you will check every one by line, it's very exhaustive, which is not possible. So this all comes under the testing principles, right? We also have some points like what is the objectives. Basically, once we know the principles, what are the objective? We know what is testing, right? The testing is a process of executing a program that its intention is to finding out an error. And we also discussed that a good test case is one that has a high probability of finding an as yet undiscovered error. Also, a successful test is one that uncovers as an undiscovered error, right? Successful test case is also one and good test case is also one that can identify the error. Basically test objectives. Now come to the last principle, which is the deployment, right? Deployment principle is first, customer expectations for the software must be managed, right? See, too often the customer expects more than the team has promised to deliver, and disappointment occurs immediately because what they feel that they will receive more, and what they want that they should get more than the promise, right? So this result in a feedback that is not productive. Because they give no, we are not getting everything this way. So customer expectation for the software, it must be managed. Be careful not to promise too much or to mislead the user. For this, to manage the customers, keep in mind, don't promise too much. I will do this and this way, or don't mislead the user. Okay. Next is, a complete delivery package should be assembled and tested. A complete delivery package, it means CD-ROM or any other media containing all executable software, supported data of your software, the supported documents that is required, and all the relevant information related your software, right? The software which you are producing, all executable softwares which is required as a support, all supportable files, all documents, all relevant information must be assembled and thoroughly beta tested with actual users, right? And all the installation scripts and other operational features should also be exercised thoroughly. Got it? So when you are ready to deliver your software, please check each and everything and then give them by assembling each and everything in the form of a CD, you can say, right? Third is, a support regime must be established before the software is delivered. It means, see, an end user expect responsiveness, right? Responsiveness and accurate information when a question or problem arises. So you should be ready with it. If any question or problem arises, you should identify and you should be prepared for this. Got it? So what type of support you are going to give the customer? It should be planned. It should be planned. It should be prepared. Right? And also the appropriate mechanism or the method which they have to follow. Or you are going to support them in which way? How you are going to support them? Each and everything should be cleared before the delivery of the software. Appropriate instructional materials must be provided to the end user. Right? See, the software team delivers more than the software itself. The software team has to deliver more than the software. So, appropriate proper training, if required, should be provided to the end user. Proper training. Right? And how they will identify or troubleshoot the error. Troubleshoot guidelines should also be there. It should also be provided. Right? And what different about the software increment description should be published. So you have to provide each and every type of support. Right? So when you are delivering your software, you have to keep all these things in mind. Buggy software should be fixed first, delivered later. Right? See, sometimes what happen, under time pressure, some software organization deliver the low quality increments with a warning to the customer that bugs will be fixed in the next release. This is a very big mistake. You should not perform this. Because of the time issue, what we are doing? We are giving the software and telling them the bug we will fix later. So you should not do this. Right? Because if you will not able to fix that error or fix that bug as early as possible, customer will not believe in you. They will never give you the next software. So when you deploy your software, when you deploy your product, keep in mind that how you will manage the customer expectations. For this, don't mislead the customer, don't mislead the users. Be careful when you are taking the requirements from them. No need to do any big promise with them. Right? Next point, when you are providing them the software, before providing them, create a proper delivery package. Assemble it, check each and everything, provide every material with that, every material, then deliver it. And then every material means supporting material, how to install and all. And then third is how you are going to support them if any type of error occur. You also have to provide this facility to them, or you have to decide it previously before the delivery. After this, how they are going to install it in their system, you also have to tell them. And when you are delivering your software, make sure it should be bug free. There should not be any bug. Okay, so this comes under the deployment principle. Now till now we have discussed all the principles, and I think you are able to understand what type of principles we should follow and what are the principles basically, and which point you will follow, which principle you will follow under the particular category. We are having total 5: construction, deployment, requirement gathering. We also got a communication, planning, modeling, construction, deployment. And again inside this we are having some categories. So till now we have discussed all the principles. Now one more is, that is W5HH principle. It is also known as the Barry-Boehm principles. In this, what we are saying, basically all of us know the meaning of W5, right? That is who, what, when, where, why, how, right? So we are going to answer this principle we should follow when we are making the software, right? what you can say, or why the system is being developed, what the system will do, right? When will it be accomplished, who is responsible for each function, where are they originally located, right? Where are they located? And then how will the job be done technically and managerial level? So you have to consider all this thing in mind, how much of each resources is needed. As we discussed, I think now at this point you can understand the meaning of each and every point. We are having 7 principles here and you can understand it because we have discussed each and every point in detail also in some other principles, right? And then you can see the last point, the answer to these questions, it lead to a definition of key project characteristic and then the resulted project plan. If you are able to answer all these questions, you can easily manage with your software, or you can easily manage the software and the customers also, the people working on your project, on your software, and also who are going to use that software. You can manage it easily, right? So this is the end of our first unit. This is the end of our first unit. Till now we have discussed about what is software engineering, what is the need of software engineering, basically some software like crisis we also discussed. Okay, then we discussed about the software is a layered technology, right? Software is a layered technology. Then why you call it a layered technology, what is process, what process will do, what is the basic process, what is the basic generic communication process. So generic communication process is communication, planning, modeling, construction and deployment. And then what, and then the principle of each and every phase we discussed, right? Also some some pictorial representation is also in our lectures, and then theory is also given in the slide, so you can easily understand it. Still, if you have any doubt at any point, you can mail me. Okay, thank you. From the next class we will start learning the second unit, that is the models, different type of models. Thank you.